Okay, so what I mean by top stitch is you're going to need to take your free arm off, or you just use your free arm. And I always start at a seam, just because you don't really see the stitching. And all we're going to do is this inside seam that hopefully you did a zigzag stitch and finished. What this does is this kind of flaps around on the inside, and what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch it, so we're actually going to be stitching it to the bodice, and this way it doesn't move around and it doesn't kind of annoy the child. Okay, so again, start at a seam, do the same thing that you normally would, do a back stitch, and then just very carefully you're going to flip the seam up inside, so you want to make sure that you're stitching over that seam inside. Just go nice and slow, and keep checking to make sure the seam is flipped up on the inside. So now what you did was you top stitched, and it also gives it a little bit more of a professional look. Okay? Okay, so next we're going to add the bottom ruffle, and then we're done. Okay, so here is your top stitching. You can trim your threads. Also I usually wait to the end to do that. But okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add our ruffle to the bottom. If you don't want to do a ruffle at the bottom, just hem this. Okay, do a nice hem, and you're done. Okay. This next part is optional. So this is the ruffle. What you're going to do is you're going to take your two pieces, right sides together, and you're just going to sew down one side, just like we did for the skirting. Okay, so sew down one side. Okay, so I sewed down the side with my serger, and then I ruffled this piece exactly the same way as I just showed you for the skirting. Okay. The only difference I did with this one was instead of doing a ruffle every 6 stitches, I switched it on my foot to do a ruffle every 12 stitches. Okay. This will make the ruffle kind of flare out a little bit more. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the seam of my ruffle. Turn my top upside down and just attach the ruffled part to the edge. And then I'm just going to pin all the way around. Okay? And just like last time, once I get to this other seam, I'm going to do my last pin about 1 inch from the seam. Same on this side. I'm going to go all the way to the edge, and then I'm going to pin just about 1 inch left, and then we're going to have these 2 little flaps open. Okay, so I pinned all the way to the seam. Do one more. Okay, so here's my seam right here. Okay, and here's my ruffle pieces. We're going to do the same exact technique that we did on the skirting. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're just going to put the 2 ruffle pieces together. Okay, and line it up with the seam. You can put a little pin here to remind you of exactly where you're going to stitch. Okay, and then all you're going to do is on your machine, you're just going to stitch down, take the pin out and stitch down. You're going to cut off your extra material, and then you're just going to finish your stitch. You're going to do your zigzag stitch here, and then you're attaching your ruffle exactly the same way as you attach the skirting. Okay? You're going to start at a seam. You're going to make sure that your stitch is to the left of the ruffler stitch, so you don't see that stitch when you flip it over. Okay? Cut off your excess bulk fabric, just like we did before, and then you can finish the stitch too. Okay? Okay, so I attached my ruffle. I used my serger for this. to finish it, but hopefully you did a zigzag stitch here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a top stitch exactly the same way I did on my bodice. Started a seam, and then you're just going to go all the way around, making sure that that seam underneath is flipped up, so it's actually catching with the stitch, and then it won't move around inside on the inside of the top. Okay, so as you can see, I did a top stitch all the way around. Okay, so now when I open up the inside, that seam isn't flapping, it's actually stitched down. Okay, last step I'm going to do is I'm just going to hem the bottom of the ruffle. Okay, so you know, a lot of people say to press this, but I actually do it first and then press it. It's just faster for me. Okay, so I just fold it over 1/4 of an inch, fold it over another 1/4 of an inch, and then I kind of just do that as I'm going. And I just go all the way around just like that. Just keep folding. So the last step is to shear the back. Okay, I went over shearing in a little bit more detail in the smock top tutorial, or the sheared top tutorial. But basically what you do is you take out your regular bobbin thread and you put in elastic thread. And the way you wind it around the bobbin is, you know, just not too tight, not too loose, and you know, just make sure you wind a lot because you're going to need a lot. Okay, put it in your bobbin. Okay, and then you just do as many rows as you want. You're going to start at the seam over here. So you're going to find your seam from where the front and the back attaches. And you want to make sure that you're low enough from the top to make sure that you don't shear over the buttonhole. Okay? So just make sure that you're low enough from the top. And then all you're going to do is, when I first forward stitch and back stitch, I do that about 3 times. I make the length smaller, so I do about a 2. So I just went forward and back 4 times. Okay? And then I change the length to the longest length possible on your machine. Mine is a 4. And I'm just going to go down. Stop at the seam. And then put your length back down to a 2 or 1 or whatever you want, and then forward and back stitch 4 more times. Okay, and then take it out. So what that does is that secures your elastic. Otherwise the elastic will fall right out. Okay? You don't have to trim it yet. Just go back to the front. Do the same thing again. Forward, back 4 times. Change your length to the longest length. Okay, so I have 2 rows now. Still doesn't really look like much. You just have to keep going all the way down. Okay, and then it'll start to shear. Okay, so the last step is to open up your buttonhole. Okay, I opened mine up with my little scissors. And so you have your shearing, all your lines here. What you're going to do is you're just going to take your iron, and you can do a little squirt of water, and you're just going to steam over your shearing. And then it just cinches right up. This is the finished dress, or top. I put my straps through the buttonhole and just tied it in a knot. You could do a bow if you want. Trim all your threads. Okay, and then you can see, because we did a sheared back, how stretchy it is. Okay, so it'll fit her for a really long time. And then if you watch my tutorial for the pants, you have a cute little new outfit. Okay. Please leave any comments or any suggestions for future tutorials, or if you have any questions. It takes me a couple days to respond, but I will always answer your questions. Okay? Thanks for watching.